whole limbic brain. That's fear of parents, going against what we were told was good and bad as kids. It's a fear, it's inbuilt. Our personality is formed based on the way that we interacted and the way that our parents treated us. It's called a survival script. It's an invisible set of rules that we wrote in our own mind as kids that say, do this and you're going to have the greatest chance of your parents keeping you. Yeah? And so the problem is, metaphorically speaking, that survival script keeps working. So instead of us driving the car or the vehicle of our life, there's a 4-year-old behind the wheel that's using the script to drive the car. Yeah? When you see a fully grown man that's like 50 that's getting grumpy about things, oh, that person doesn't check their mail enough because their dad told them, you always check the mail. And they're just mimicking the same shit. Because in their head, it's like, there's danger if I don't do this. There is so much of that in the world, so much judgment as this is the way it should be. It's just mirroring. It's not present moment discernment. It's just a set of conditions that were helpful in the tribal context. Not helpful now. Yeah? Not helpful now. We're in a globalized, multifaceted society where our unique way that we choose to live doesn't have to be tied to the way that our parents taught us to be. But we're still programmed that way. I just want to say one more thing. This is all under the delusion of dependence. Our brain still thinks, because when we are molded as young kids, it's meant to be molding for a young kid going into a tribe. If the young kid's being told the norms of the tribe, you're not just going to go flirt around with a bunch of different tribes. That's your tribe. You stay with the tribe. And so getting molded into the person that fits into that group, that makes sense there. Because you are dependent on that group for survival. Yeah, that makes sense. But we're parented in this way, we're under the delusion that those people that taught us how to live our lives, because we weren't born to be able to fit into the family nucleus. We were born to be in a tribal nucleus. That's what our conditioning is designed for. We're meant to be sculpted to operate in a tribal dynamic. So it makes sense in light of that. But if there's two parents that raise you, say, hey, this is how you need to be in this tribe of 4 people or 3 or 5 people, and then you go out to a completely different set of tribes, but with the same rules of this tribe, that doesn't make sense. It made sense in the tribal days. It doesn't make sense in this context. But that's what happens. That is fear of parents, walking around being scared of being someone other than what the survival script says we should be, under the delusion that we're still dependent on them for survival. Because you're not anymore. You leave the nest. In the tribal days, though, the way you're raised, you actually are still dependent on the same people that gave you those rules. Because you don't just leave the tribe. So you don't show up under the delusion of dependence. You actually are dependent on the tribe. 20,000 years ago, whatever it is, 10,000 years ago, right? So it doesn't have context now, but it severely impacts the way that we show up in the world and creates a big set of internal responses with what we can and can't do. Be respectful, boy. Well, anytime you want to speak your authenticity, if it's not super polite and pleasing and nice, well, you feel like you're going to die if you were to speak up. That's not helpful if you want to authentically express yourself in the world. But it's impacted based on this fear of parents going against the survival script that's not actually designed and contextualized for where we choose to live authentically in this modern world. Okay? So this, and this, the fear of emotions is also just inbuilt. Vulnerability.